Okay, you guys, we'll now take a look at exercise 19-5 on page 1173. Similar to the last one, but here the employees are granted stock options that they have to, which gives them, what stock options are, it gives them the option to buy the stock at some point in the future. At a certain price, right? Okay, and that price here, as we'll see in a second, is $14 per share. But American Optical Corporation provides a variety of share-based compensation plans to its employees. Under its executive stock option plan, the company granted options on January 1st, 2016 that permit the executives to acquire 4 million of the company's $1 par common shares within the next 5 years, but not before December 31, 2017, which would be 2 years from the grant date. And that's going to be the vesting date. That's when the options vest and they become viable or usable by the exercisable, if that's a word, by the executives. Okay, the exercise price is the market price of the shares on the date of the grant, 14 per share, meaning the executives 2 years later can buy the stock at 14 per share. It's a great deal if it goes up during the 2-year period. If it goes down, no one would exercise the option, of course, or you would not think that they would. The fair value of the 4 million options estimated by an appropriate option pricing model is $3 per option. Of course, the option to buy the stock is going to be worth less than the stock itself. No forfeitures are anticipated, meaning they expect everyone to exercise the option. I don't think that would be really normal, but that's what we're going with here. Ignore income taxes. Okay, so number one asks us to determine the total compensation cost pertaining to the options. Well, the fair value of the options on the grant date is $3 per option, and 4 million options granted, and then we're just going to multiply those two together or by each other, and we get $12 million as the total compensation. That's the $3 per option fair value times the 4 million shares. Okay, now on number 2, they want us to make a journal entry. Prepare the appropriate entry to record the award of the options on January 1, 2016. Well, on the day the options are granted, since there's a vesting period, nothing has really happened that needs to be recorded on the books yet. So on the grant date, January 1, and this is number, I just made it number 2, but on January 1st, and let's make this 2016. No entry is required here, you guys. Sorry for the delay there. No entry is required on the day the options are granted. So nothing's really happened, right? No employee has met the vesting period. They're not able to exercise the option to buy the shares yet. Okay, number 3. Okay, this is going to be in 2016 as well, but December 31. We're going to debit compensation expense, same as in the last entry when we're actually granting them shares. The last exercise when shares were actually granted instead of options. Still debit compensation expense for what, half the vesting period has been met. So we're going to recognize half the total compensation, $6 million. So it's equal to the 12 million divided by 2, right? 1 year's worth. Then we'll credit paid in capital stock options for the same amount, $6 million. Okay, then they want the entry on number 4. Let's read it. Prepare the appropriate journal entry to record compensation expense on December 31, 2017. Now on this entry, on December 31, 2017, I hate I did that. Let's move it down. I like to put the year in when it changes. Okay. We're going to make this same entry again, you guys, at the end of 2017. Because what? Now they've earned the other half of the compensation. And the options have now vested and could be exercised. Okay, in the next exercise, we'll look at what happens when the some of the options or some options are exercised. We'll look at those journal entries. This one's fairly straightforward, though. You take the fair value per option on the grant date times the number of options granted, and that gives you the total compensation. There's no entry, though, on the grant date. I'm going to put no entry on grant date. Okay, but then once the options start to vest, halfway in, we'd recognize the compensation expense, part of it in 2016, half of it. It takes 2 years to vest, so we'll recognize half of the compensation expense in 2016 and credit paid in capital stock options. Then we would debit compensation expense and credit paid in capital stock options for the other half when they're completely vested. Now, as you might have guessed already, and we'll see in the next exercise, this paid in capital stock options will come off the books if the options either expire or are exercised. Alright, thanks you guys. After working that one with me, I don't think you'll have any trouble with exercise 19.5 on the Connect site. Hope you have a great day. Thanks.